Hi everyone and welcome back. It's Monday, which means it's time for some more football review talk. Bundesliga A League, you know the drill. Although maybe Bundesliga and oh no, that's right. You didn't have an AFL game on the weekend, so we're probably going to have to actually talk about the Melbourne Victory game this time. Although, given their result, without giving much to away, I'm happy to talk about it, as are you probably.
I reckon so, and there was another good result in the A-League on the weekend, which I'm pretty pleased to be talking about as well. But it's coming down to the business end of the season there, and some really interesting results in the Bundesliga as well. I did stay up last night, and it was a tale of two halves, really.
Talking about it, why don't we literally start right there with that game? Excuse me. You guys obviously getting the 1-1 draw with Union Berlin. I would say a valuable point given the other results across the round this weekend. For your survival bid, not the best result, but it's the one you'd take, I'm assuming.
I would definitely take that. Union haven't been in the best of form, but with teams like that, and especially the ones around that are still picking up points, you don't know sort of what to expect. And I remember you saying to me last night, and I did sort of laugh a little bit coming back last night. To watch it, that you said, "Oh, this has got 0-0 written all over it."
I was close.
It was close. They were close, but Mateus Pereira with the opening goal.
I mean,
a goal of the year
you don't
contender.
score many goals across this and last
Bullet.
season. You certainly don't score goal of the season contenders, as I said before we started recording. I thought I'd chuck it in here as well. But yeah, what a fucking hit that was. Just like, I love it when you just see a player just strike a ball true and just straight, like just fall through it on the volley.
Yeah.
Rono was left,
Volley,
it went down the middle of the goal, but Rono had no chance of ever getting anything serious to that to save it. It was that powerfully hit. It was a brilliant goal. Look, obviously Ragnar Acker's effort a few weeks back probably will deny that goal of the season, you'd think, but
I think so.
But
I reckon
still,
so. And worthy
an
winner,
incredible
of course,
strike and got you off to what
Quality.
at the time was a good start, an ideal start even, but it didn't really...
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the game, there wasn't an awful lot really. I mean, I think Union really probably deserved to get back in the game in the end.
Oh yeah, and it was a quality header from a set piece to level it, and they've had really good success with their set pieces over the season, Union. So it's a credit to them. I mean, Vasil, and we'll talk about him in a moment. There's really sort of not much he could have done about that. Taller player Illich, unfortunately, getting first head to the ball, and other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot. I mean, Jackson Irvine getting his second yellow with about a minute and a half left in the game, and then Blessing's assistant getting sent off for complaining about the decision. So, and just looking to see who we've got next week. Oh, it's Bayern, okay, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, a little bit. But I said to you just before we came off air. I came on air. Sorry, it's Monday and my brain's all scrambled. I'd much rather have Irvine out for this week than the coming games against Köln and Heidenheim and Mainz and those guys. I think he's going to, it's a mulligan for us next week. It's a free hit, basically. I'm not expecting us to win. I'm not expecting us to draw. I just don't want us to get absolutely pulverised, basically, because our goal difference is, I think we're, two goals difference between us and Bremen, and Köln have got a better goal difference, obviously, but a couple of points there. So that's sort of where I'm looking at it from, in terms of where we could possibly finish. So
exactly.
It all counts.
Look, the other thing we'll quickly touch on this, because Union are at that stage now. We don't really need to talk too much. They're comfortably safe in mid-table. It's not an awful lot's going to change for them between now and the end of the season, you'd imagine. Unless they were to go on some ridiculous losing streak, but I just don't think that's going to happen. They're not that bad. They're just consolidating themselves now. Obviously, it's a precious point for you that you should still take, because it opens up that gap on Wolfsburg now.
Oh yeah.
A little more, just the time, with Bremen dropping points.
4 points in goal difference.
Obviously, the come result probably didn't quite go the way you would have wanted it to, though I still think a draw's better than winning that, obviously. But one thing I do want to talk about is Vasil. I mean, look, he was last season. He was definitely one of the top 5 keepers in the league, at least I'd say. Top, maybe not more than that, but he was quite good last season. Obviously, we've spoke many times on this podcast about the issues he's had, and he hasn't had anywhere near as good a season overall. Look, he's still a good shot stopper at the end of the day, we all know that, but he is awful with his feet. We saw it in the international break for Bosnia. It led to the Italy goal, even though it didn't matter ultimately, because they still ended up beating them to get to the World Cup. But and we saw it in this game as well, which again, luckily he managed to save the shot. It was a pretty poor effort, in fact, to be honest. But the passing out from the back has been atrocious. We saw earlier this season against Gladbach. I think as you said before we start recording, when Tabakovic scored in that 4-0 defeat. Yeah.
I think he was either assisted or the end of it.
Like it's
just unforgivable.
Also, one of that, even though you didn't concede from that thing. What was worse about that chance is because, it was awful from Vasil, but the defending from Holkeval was awful. He literally, I didn't watch it back, he literally just watches the player run past him when he's running at him, and he's got him in front of him, and he just basically stands to the side and watches him run beyond it. It's almost as if he's going to say, look, I don't want to make a tackle here, Vasil, you better save this. God, could you imagine that gone in? Vasil's at fault, Holkenval's at fault, and that's imagine you got so close, because if you lost this, then you might still be in a bit of trouble, but it's a precious point, and with your running, maybe it's put you in a very good stead to say that survival is very much right now in your hands. But,
and looking back at that moment, Holkeval had no idea the ball was going to
come.
The
guy's not running, and he just literally turns to the side and watches him run past him.
It's but that's the thing with him, and that's what sort of infuriated me about watching him, because I've watched most of the games live this season. He does some amazing things, and also is capable of doing really dumb shit like that. And God forbid that Bosnia. I'm going to be watching them pretty closely in the World Cup just to see what he actually does, and because if you're making that sort of mistake in Berlin against what is it? I don't know how big the stadium is there, about 15,000, maybe more. How are you going to go against 50,000 or 30,000, 40,000 in a stadium in the
Canada,
US, right? Or Mexico or Canada, right? And you do that. There's nowhere for you to hide, right? Against worldwide audience, you can't be doing that shit. Sorry, Nico, but you got lucky against Italy in the shootout. You didn't have to actually make a save in the shootout, which probably explains everything you need to know about how the season he's had. I love the guy to death, and he spoke really well after the game, but he's got he's got what 6 more opportunities to make it right now. So get switched on and don't do it again, please. For my mental health, please.
We'll move on to some of the other games then. We'll cover across a few quite quickly, because we're getting to that point of the season where teams that are in mid-table and not really going anywhere, there's less point really talking about them unless they've had a real big game in terms of an impact with the other side of a title race or top 4 race or relegation battle. We just mentioned them. Köln, look, it's another valuable point for them this morning against Frankfurt. Frankfurt are just kind of going nowhere, really. That point puts them 10 points adrift of Leverkusen now. They've been pretty much sitting comfortable in 7th all season, which is ridiculous considering they had an awful start to 2026, yet they're still in 7th. They've kind of steadied the ship, it has to be said, since Dino Topmüller got sacked, and rightfully so. For Köln's sake, they're still right amongst that kind of relegation conversation, although this, like your guys, was a valuable point for them. Frankfurt are just, look, there's no way they're climbing above 7th now. It's really about just looking at those beneath them, and there's a 2-point gap between them and Freiburg. We played Freiburg, and we'll get onto our game later, but Freiburg are a good side, and I wouldn't count them out. Obviously, they're in Europe. They're in their first ever European quarter-final. They're in the Pokal semi-final that they're playing against Stuttgart. Still could have a chance given them to beat them. So, Frankfurt should be looking nervously, because I could see Freiburg jumping ahead of them into 7th to get that Conference League spot, which, could be massive for them to get European football 2 seasons in a row. But going back to Frankfurt, it's just kind of been one of those weird seasons for them, hasn't it? They had a good start to the season, then they were awful for about 3 months. They sacked the manager, and they've started to then consolidate since then, and they've improved a bit. One player I want to talk about is Callum Wendo. He scored again in this one. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for them. He has on our window.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I just looking at the highlights before. Great finish, and you're right about Frankfurt. I remember when we played them not long ago, there was a bit of talk about them, being easier to score against, and it sort of seems like they've sort of found their rhythm with their new manager coming in and really sort of setting things right. So credit to them. But in terms from Köln, look, I think they were worthy of getting that equaliser to draw late on, but they were also very lucky to actually score it as well. It was a bit of a scramble, and Castro Montes, I think it was, who scored. Kaminsky, but it was a game. I'll use this term many times in this podcast, but it was a game of two halves. Burkhardt and Callum Wendo scoring early in the second half, and then Köln with that fight back. I think for them, as much as I hate to say it, I think that they're probably well equipped compared to other sides of actually consolidating like other teams already have, like Union that we just talked about, because they've got these guys who can score, and they've got that attack. Ragnar Acker and I think Bolter as well, Syed Al-Mahler also, that have got certainly the potential in these next 6 weeks to not only pick up points but leapfrog other sides. So I guess it's up to them as to what sort of results they get.
I will say, there's some big games coming up again here, especially over the next 2 weeks. You guys obviously have us. We're right off, but for Köln's sake, there's 2 big games ahead of them if they're to pull themselves clear of this relegation battle. They got Bremen at home next, and then they have you guys. So if there's ever a time for them to win those games, if they can get even 4 points from those next 2 games, I would probably say they've done enough to stay up at that point. Even not getting any points or at least 1 from those, it doesn't make the situation any better for them. They've got to at least win 1. I mean, I think unbeaten and 4 points keeps them up from those next 2 games at this point, really. I mean, especially if they beat you and draw to Bremen, that would be what they were. I mean, ideally, they'd want to win both of them, obviously. But if it was a 4-point thing, they would want the point against Bremen and then want the win against you, with you being the team closer to them and below them, obviously, to open up that gap.
Yeah. Well, I'd be hoping for 1 point from those 2 games, and you probably guess which point I'm talking about, because we need that result more than they do. I know, they need it too, but we do. More so, just because of the fact that I want to play Hamburg again in derbies next year, and as you said with last night to me with Schalke possibly, or almost certainly, let's say coming back up. I've got a Schalke mate of mine, Steve, if you're watching. It'd be good to have that rivalry back next season. We haven't had it for about 15 years, but they, like I just said, I think they've got the players and the attack to be able to get results from these upcoming games. We don't know quite what that's going to look like yet. You said Bremen at home, Bremen away. I'd back them in against them, but it's going to be a cracking match.
Köln home to them, we'll quickly rattle through a couple of others. You just mentioned Hamburg. They drew 1-1 with Augsburg. Less to talk about really with these 2 teams, whereas a couple of months ago they were looking like they were in a relegation picture. Neither of them are at this point, and not much really to say about them with that 1-1 draw. Really, I mean, Hamburg having a couple of chances. Vuskovic probably should have scored that close-range header, especially with the goal threat he's posed for them at times this season. But look, in all honesty, for Augsburg, they've recovered what looked like could have been disastrous for them. As much as I love Sandro Wagner, it wasn't working with them. And since they've replaced him, they've just looked a lot more solid, and they've consolidated themselves comfortably into mid-table now as a result of that. And as for Hamburg, look, their first season back, whilst Köln coming back are still definitely in trouble, Hamburg definitely haven't been the same like that team. They've just had a very solid season now, and they're just looking to wind it down and finish as high up as they can. But even to the point where they've been, I think Polzen's done an absolute brilliant job for them coming back up, and they haven't been in the Bundesliga since around 2018, if I'm correct. So. It's been a long time out, and then coming back, it just looks like they've readapted to it brilliantly, and maybe next season I'll say hopefully for their sake they'll push on. Obviously, you would have a differing view with that, but
well, depending on what happens with us, yes. Depending on what happens. So, but I mean, looking at this particular game, and Hamburg did have a a player sent off with about 25 left to play, but they could have easily
Yeah.
won this game. They had some half chances and defended pretty well, and Augsburg had chances when shot sort of deflected and coming off the post, and so it could have gone either way. But I think you're right about Hamburg, and I hate to say this, but they've done really well to. So I'm just having a look at one of the highlights of like literally a back pass off the shoulder of I think it was Roy Fernandez and coming off the crossbar. So that's just what I was talking about there. Saved by the crossbar. But look, they've both had their moments of sort of being in trouble early this season, but they've both been able to shake it off and consolidate now. So I hate to give Hamburg credit, and I think Paulsen's a great manager. He's done a really good job.
Another fixture of a team that's practically all but relegated, and a team that's practically all but safe. To give credit, they are going down. Admirably, are Heidenheim. They're picking up impressive points when it doesn't really mean an awful lot now in the grand scheme of things. Gladbach, again, they're not in any danger. They had an awful start to the season, but they stuck with Eugen Polanski and it's worked. He's got them up the table. They're, not miles up the table, but, they keep picking up enough points to just keep themselves clear of that relegation battle enough. And especially knowing with the form that teams like Wolfsburg have been in this season, you don't think they're in any danger of falling closer to them. But not much really say about Gladbach other than that. As for Heidenheim, look, as I said, they're going down, but they're definitely going down with some admirability about their fight. The draw against Leverkusen a few weeks back comes to mind. This one as well, another solid performance. Maybe they're not winning games, but look, they're still they can hold their heads held high. 3 consecutive seasons in the Bundesliga and European finish. Yeah, last season wasn't the greatest. Mm-hmm. This season's not really been great at all. But look, they're still showing they can give it a good go when they really can. At times they can give it a good go. They've just been let down by just defensive instability throughout this season. Really, case in point was I believe it was the first Gladbach goal in this game. Ramai, pretty average goalkeeping to let that one in.
Mm-hmm. Just sort of spun across the back of over the goal line. Yeah, so. But I think with Heidenheim, and you're right. It looks like they are going down. We've said that for a while now, but they've had some positive results in terms of draws. They are the sort of side now that if they are going to go down,
let's be real. Let's not sit on the fence. They are relegated. Given the fact they're going to go down, they've had 3 great seasons, like you said. There's an argument to say they probably should have gone down last season, really. But we've talked about that playoff tie. But this is where they can really upset the apple cart for a lot of other teams, and one of those sides is us. And I really hope they don't do that against us for obvious reasons. But they can certainly shape the fortunes of the teams above them in terms of the results that they've got left in this competition. So exactly. And a couple more games we'll quickly touch on games that look. Leipzig getting a big win. Bremen looking in trouble. Not quite as much as Wolfsburg, who we'll get onto shortly. But it's another one of those games for Bremen. They're just these chances they miss in games because they're not playing terrible, but they're just woeful in front of goal this season. And, Leipzig are a quality team and punish them, basically, with not an awful lot, really, to say for themselves. But Bremen, once again, just wasting crucial chances that they have to score in games and get more from games. And whilst right now they're still not in any immediate relegation danger, this running could be crucial for them. Obviously, if they drop points against Köln next week, and having a look at their fixtures going forward beyond that, just quickly, Hamburg, these are still games you'd expect them to try and get something from if they could just put teams away. But then they got Stuttgart, Augsburg. It's looking like a middling fix, like running for them, in all honesty. Hoffenheim. Looking at Dortmund they don't want it to go to the final day, because having Dortmund in the final day is not a place they want to be if they need to get anything from that game to stay up or to stay away from that playoff spot. And I'm seeing it week in, week out with them at the moment, that they're playing all right but not getting wins or results because they just cannot take chances they create for themselves. And look,
Yeah.
As I said, not much really to say about Leipzig. It's just they're obviously a strong contender for the top four. There's no doubt about that. It really is. I mean, they're third now. Obviously, Hoffenheim's bad run of form, which we'll get onto next. But
they probably should have. Yeah, I was just going to say they probably should have won this by more. I mean, looking at a couple of the chances before we jumped on, and they had a breakaway. They split Bremen open pretty regularly and just couldn't finish. And the goal they did concede was in stoppage time. So they very easily.
I know. I was talking about Bremen being wasteful in front of Leipzig. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, well, both. Yeah, I mean, both
less
sides,
concerning for Leipzig, but it's very concerning for Bremen because.
Oh, for sure. Oh, definitely. When they need goals to. I mean, they're still in that relegation scrap well and truly, but obviously they don't want to be right in the thick of it with other teams getting better results. And we talked about the game coming up next week. So, how are they going to go there? We will have to wait and see. But Leipzig just doing what Leipzig have done all season, albeit not a 5 or 6-0 win.
And another 2-1 result for the away team. Hoffenheim again, absolutely starting to slip. It feels like the good form they were on when we started this podcast is really started to burn itself out, and at the wrong time of the season at that. Full credit to Mainz. They were in an awful state at the halfway point of the season. They were looking nailed on for relegation. They'd had a torrid start to the season. Urs Fischer has come in and absolutely turned the fortunes of that club around this season. It's a massive win again for them, albeit Hoffenheim is struggling. But they're 9th now, Mainz. And they're in a genuine chance of pushing for that European spot. It's only 6 points. Frankfurt have been gettable this season. And there's time, and there's still just about enough games for them to make a go at it here. Like, full credit to Urs Fischer, because the turnaround has been nothing short of phenomenal. They've gone from near bottom of the table to the top half of the table in the time that he's been there. And just incredible. It's 3 wins on the bounce, actually. 5 undefeated. Unbeaten in their last 5, I should say. 3 wins in a row. They're in some serious form. Like Hoffenheim, who were dipping at the wrong time. Mainz are definitely hitting form at the right time. And full credit to them, because this was another brilliant performance. Again, albeit against a Hoffenheim team who were very much sliding. But still...
I think Hoffenheim are going to be doing really well to cling on to 6. I really think that's probably where they stay, just given unless they don't pick up points. And was it Eintracht just ahead of them?
But I don't think they're going to slip out of 6. I think the top 6 is basically speaks for itself. Not in terms of finishing position. I
just don't see them.
Going to remain in there. I don't think Frankfurt are going to overturn a 10-point gap into the top 6.
I don't think so, but it just obviously depends for them whether they finish 5th or 6th. But the thing I'll say about mine, just before we go on to the next game, is I still remember, I think it was just when Urs Fischer came in, or he was just about to. Do you remember the last game before the break when we played them? And it was one of the worst 0-0 draws you've probably ever seen. Back when they couldn't get a point for anything and we were just playing horribly. How things have changed, right? So, how the fortunes have changed for them, and good on them. I like them as a team. But I still remember back when, when they couldn't buy a point, and we sort of were wondering what was going to happen with them, and look at them now, So it's a funny old game, football, in a space of a few months.
Exactly. And speaking of a team who are looking more and more doomed by the week, and who are definitely sliding, Wolfsburg. And it just had that feeling about it. I mean, first of all, 9 goals. What a crazy game. It's not the first time they've been on the wrong end of a 9-goal match. So obviously, flashbacks to that 8-1 against us at the turn of the year. But look, from a position of 3-1 up, against a Leverkusen side who have not been great recently as well, let's point out. 3-1 up, to lose 6-3 when you're fighting for points is inexcusable. And the fact that, fine, you guys didn't win, Bremen lost, fine, other Köln didn't win, look, they haven't got too far away, but the gap still widened back 1 point more. And, they've conceded the most goals joint with Heidenheim now this season as well, which is also what's concerning for them. But, it's inexcusable for Wolfsburg, and it reeks of a team who just looks like they're consigning themselves to a relegation at this point. Because this is happening all too frequently for them, where they have moments in games where they look like they're getting something from it, and then completely hit the self-destruct button. and it's happening too frequently for them now, and they're in a position where they don't really have time to have a couple of games to work it out anymore. They've got to go if they want to stay in this league, because they are running out of games, and they've got big games. Obviously, that end to the season is massive for them. They've got to play us in their penultimate game, and then they've got to play you in the final game. So could you imagine if it came down to a final day battle between you and them for that other relegation slot?
No, I don't want to think. No, I don't want to think about that, man. I'm just one game at a time.
I'll say right now, I can't see. I don't think that's going to happen, because I just don't think Wolfsburg are going to catch you at this point. You still showed you got the ability to get results here and there, though not all the time. Wolfsburg just look like they're getting beaten way too easily now. They've panned the board have just fucked this up basically all season. They held on to Paul Simonis for too long, in my opinion. Daniel Bauer, I think that was it, wasn't he? He came in, it looked like he was steadying the ship, and then they had one bad result, and then that just spiraled out of control again. And then they panicked, then they had to get rid of him. Now they brought Dieter Hecking in. It's began terribly for him as well. Like, it's just never ending with Wolfsburg, and you feel for their fans. As for Leverkusen, look, they needed this. They needed a big win to get themselves back on track. They're still sixth, but they've pulled themselves into that conversation once again with the Champions League now, with other teams around them dropping off a bit.
Yeah, most definitely, and they're going to certainly be interesting as to where they finish. I mean, what is it, a 4-point gap now between them and Stuttgart for that last Champions League spot. So, and Hoffenheim is still in the mix for that too. So. That's going to be a really interesting, discussion as to what that final sort of six looks like.
Yeah, exactly. We've got two more games, of course, to cover. We'll start with the Dortmund game. We'll finish with ours. Look, Dortmund are really annoying me. I say this every week. I'm not really worried at the fact that they're going to win the league. I still think we've got it in the bag. But it's just annoying me that whenever we win games, I hope that they drop points so we can just win that title just that bit sooner. They always annoyingly win games, but look, fair credit to them. They've been excellent most of this season, aside from the two. And even when they played us both times, they really gave us a game, and we had to work hard for both those wins. But still, they were way better from Stuttgart from minute 1 to minute 90, really, and there was really only going to be one winner. Even though the goals both came in the second half, Dortmund have been like this most of the season. They don't score an awful lot, but they're very solid at the back, it has to be said. And, even a team with an informed striker like Dennis Zundav, who even grabbed one for Germany in the international break as well, didn't really have much at all in this game, and Dortmund you knew they were going to win it. Eventually, they were going to find a way. Adeyemi once again, crucial for them off the bench. What a goal from Julian Brandt. That finish excellent as well, by the way. And just another comfortable win in the end for Dortmund, and just, once again, a kind of symbolisation of the league this season. In fact, that there's a team who are probably going to run away with it, and Dortmund are going to run away with second place most likely as well. I mean, they're 11 points clear themselves in second place, let alone the fact that they're 9 points behind us at the same time, right? It's quite crazy.
Yeah, just very strange. I mean, my sort of 2 cents on this one, having Dortmund being so dominant, but not scoring both goals in stoppage time, second half injury time. So hasn't happened all that often for Dortmund this year. They've usually been able to score in regular time most weeks. But
I want to apologise. I wanted to correct myself. I did say they don't score an awful lot of goals. They are the second top scorers in the league behind us, so I take that back. They do score a fair amount.
Yeah, but that was a quality finish, and just for me, it's just very weird that a team like that, second in the league, can win the game purely in stoppage time, when we're used to seeing them score. And what's even weirder, like you said, is Dennis Undav not being on the score sheet or really having much of an
he had
impact.
a couple of chances, but just wasn't really that lead. Like, Stuttgart won't be too concerned. I mean, they're still right in that Champions League battle. It was always going to be tough for them against Dortmund, let's make no mistake about it. Just for their sake, Hoffenheim losing at least is one good thing. It's very tight around there, and we should talk about the last game, obviously, of the round. That was our game against Freiburg, and look, I said it earlier when we were talking. earlier in this podcast, Freiburg, full credit to them. You know, they must hate us because obviously they had a 2-0 lead against us earlier in the season to lose that 6-2. But this one was crazy. 2-0 up. And I was getting ready to be like, oh, we've lost it, whatever, going to move on. No Kane, we're struggling a bit. But look, full credit to my team. 2-0 up after 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And we scored 3 goals in the last, basically from about the 82nd minute onwards, scored 3 goals. We were helped on by the fact that there was about 9 minutes of stoppages, of course, but still, it's an impressive feat enough. We just, all of a sudden, everything started to click. Tom Bischoff, what a way to score his first goals for the club as well. 2 brilliant finishes as well, both from outside the box. Really just showed we were switched on, especially that second, both goals really coming from the corner and the way we played the corner, and Freiburg just weren't fully switched on. Atabolu, you got to feel sorry for him. He's conceded 3 goals in a game where he's actually pulled out some incredible saves as well. One from Kimmich as well, and then there was another one from Luis Diaz who was trying to bend one into the top corner. Atabolu just springs to that top corner to palm it round the post. And look, 40-year-old Manuel Neuer. This game was basically about 2 players at the other end of the opposite ends of the age spectrum for Bayern. 40-year-old Manuel Neuer pulling off some incredible saves, looking like he's still 25, honestly. And, young 17-year-old Lennart Karl popping up with the late winner. And, his 5th league goal of the season. He's played he's had his Germany first team debut as well. Played 2 games in the international break, looked impressive, especially against Switzerland. I mean, I hope that Nagelsmann's going to pick him for the World Cup because he really is a breakout star this season in terms of young stars. People want to talk about Yamal, and we get he's talented and stuff like that among some other Barcelona players, among other players around the world. But Lennart Karl's another one for me. 17 years old, and he's had a fantastic breakout season for Bayern. He has. And look, hard done by Freiburg. Second time they've lost a 2-goal lead to us this season.
And quality goals for Freiburg too.
Manzambi. That's another young player I want to talk about quickly. He played against
quality.
Germany as well for Switzerland, and I imagine he's going to play at the World Cup for Switzerland as well. Johan Manzambi has had an excellent season for Freiburg, and I could see a bigger move come for him in the summer because he's just 20, but he does seriously look good. He does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quality finish. The weird thing for me in this game was 9 minutes of stoppage time when Karl scored the winner.
I could see it being justified. A couple of injuries and people going down. It wasn't one of those ones where it was completely chesty yawning. That happens every video. When it was completely justified, this 9 minutes. I mean, look, fair credit to us because that's an incredible turnaround. We just continue to do these things that just take the breath away at times this season, and it's really now about, we've got Real Madrid in a couple of days' time in the Champions League for that first leg, which is going to be a massive game, obviously. That Pokal semi-final against Leverkusen as well, massive as well. We've got you next week, of course, where we score 2 goals against you and we will break the Bundesliga goal-scoring record. Mad that we got 6 games left to score 2 goals to break that record. We are looking at a 120 plus goal scoring season potentially at this point, which is crazy.
Well, you've talked about your run home, right? And you guys play teams that we are coming up against in terms of staying up. If you did want to do us a small favour next week, I'm just saying, feel free. But like I said before, I'm not expecting anything out of this from our point of view. It's just I just don't want to see us get annihilated, basically, because our goal difference, like I said, is right up there with Bremen, and it's going to be at the end of the season, hopefully, still pretty good. I mean, we've only conceded 45 goals, which is surprising. I thought it was, I thought we were going to raise the bat for the half century already, but no, look, it's going to be a really interesting run home for a lot of these teams as well. You guys have got a title or winning records to break, and we've just got to try and stay up, basically. Having said that, and I think I said this before, I'm pretty confident that if we do have our full squad in by the end of the season, like Smith coming back, and I'm a little bit pissed, can I just say this quickly before we move on to the A-League? I'm a little bit pissed that these guys go on international duty and they get injured. Like, I know I know that's football and that happens, but it's annoying. It's very annoying. More annoying than our captain getting a second yellow in with a minute and a half to play. Jacko, I love you, mate. That's absolutely fine. Go nuts. But going away with your international team, Eric Schmidt is now away. I don't think he even played for Sweden, and now he's out for the best part of a month. So, but I think I think with our full complement in against whoever that third place Zweite Bundesliga side is, whether it's Paderborn or Hanover, and that's I guess another just before we wrap it up on this side, that's actually a really interesting battle.
Yeah, we will start to talk
that,
a little more about that in the next coming weeks as we really get down to the end of the season. Yeah. Schalke got a narrow win against Karlsruhe, I believe. They're keeping themselves just about clear at the top, but that battle for that second spot is really interesting. Paderborn, they're Elversberg second at the moment, I believe, aren't they? But you've got Paderborn in the mix, Hanover in the mix, Darmstadt as well. There's a couple of teams who are in the mix at that top end of the Zweite Bundesliga, so that will be an interesting kind of like development as this kind of season winds down. But we'll move on now from the Bundesliga to the A-League portion. And don't forget, if you made it this far through the video, don't forget to like, give us a follow, a subscribe, all that good stuff as the usual stuff goes. Now, look, moving on from a league where there's definitely a team who's all in to win the league to a league where no one wants to fucking win it seems, because in a week where Newcastle dropped points with a surprise defeat to MacArthur, Auckland have just dropped more points. So does anyone want to win the A-League? I don't know. Melbourne Victory had a chance to capitalise on it. No, did they fuck? No one wants to win the A-League. Let's just we have to hand it out. Just give it to a team at this point. We'll start with those Thursday games, which, to be honest, as a Sydney fan, I should have realised there was a game going on, but didn't and missed it. Didn't really miss much. We'll quickly cover that one. I saw the highlights. I'm kind of glad I missed it because we were fucking shite. Luckily escaping from Suncorp with a goalless draw. I guess I'll take it at this point of the season. Just clinging to the hope that maybe if we can get one more win, and hopefully that's against Wanderers this week, we'll have enough to sneak into the finals. Not that I think we're going to do an awful lot in them anyway, should we get there. I'm not going to put it too much on the manager. It's his first, with the team. This is the A-League teams. If players go on international duty, you don't even at all expect them to come back match fit because they're not the same level of athlete as players in the Premier League and stuff like that. Brisbane probably should have won it and, missed a lot of good chances. We had literally fuck all from what I saw in the highlights and, really not much else I can say other than, look, I'll take it, I'll move on. We got 3 big games to come. We got to at least get a couple of points just to secure that final spot, especially with you guys having a game in hand. So, look, do you have anything else to add about a pretty just uninspiring game of football?
No, not really. I mean, I'll say a bit about our game.
Get to that in a sec.
The other night, but not really. I mean, I think I said to you last night, I haven't really focused on the league deliberately for a little while, just because there's been, aside from victories, varying results, and we've talked about some of those recently, but I just don't have a whole lot of interest in the competition aside from us, and even that's a talking point in itself, I guess, but at least that's more interesting as to what might happen with my side than the rest of the comp. Like, Newcastle maybe still winning
potentially
if that's exciting.
We'll talk about them now. MacArthur turning up for their usual once-a-month shock performance and result, beating the league leaders, and they deserved it as well. Mitch Duke with a brace. Newcastle just didn't look at the races. I mean, international break just decimates teams really in this league, doesn't it? Like MacArthur, they'll probably go ahead and just probably not win any of their remaining games, but knowing them, for Newcastle, I mean, look, they'll be thankful that the team that's closest to them once again failed to capitalise on any chance they'd have to close the gap on them. Really, I mean, they did by a point, I guess, but still. It's still Newcastle's to lose, and it shows the standard of the league this season and how far it's fallen over the last few years. That these poor performances from the league leaders can occur, yet they still look well and truly comfortable to win the league anyway. So, I mean, I don't know what more else you can really say about that than the fact that that's what the A-League is like at the moment, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, it's, yeah, like I said, my interest in it has sort of dropped a bit. Part of that's because the AFL season now in motion, and I've got other things to sort of wait for my mental health to focus on at the moment. So, yeah, but you know, if the Jets hang on and win it, I think that's thoroughly deserved. When it probably looked like Auckland were going to be the team to beat, especially after the season.
And then on the Friday night, we had the most predictable thing that's happened. We had the most predictable thing happen in the league. Because of all this unpredictability in the title race and all that sort of stuff this season, one thing you can always count on in the league this season, Adelaide to draw a game 1-1 at home. And that's exactly what happened. Auckland, the recipients this time, once again absolutely flattering to deceive any chance of closing a gap and creating an actual title race in this dog shit season of football we're witnessing in the A-League. Again, it's just, I don't know what's going on with the league this season. You just kind of look at it sometimes from that perspective and just be like, huh? Like, I remember back when we were good, like about 5-6 years ago and that, where we'd be dominating the league. No one would be getting near us and we'd be just smashing, dominating teams. And even though we'd have, and sometimes we'd have proper title races, you know, where teams would be battling and they'd be winning a lot of games. Like, there's none of that this season. Newcastle crap against MacArthur. Auckland very average against Adelaide, and just it goes on, doesn't it? It just essentially goes on and on and on. We'll go into the Saturday games. I mean, look, Mariners, Perth, really. I mean, Mariners are battling for the top 6. Perth, their chances are pretty much all but done. Still a promising performance from them, I might add. For Mariners' sake, look, if they didn't have Ali Augler or whatever his name is, you know, they would be in a little more trouble right now. It's a quality free kick, although maybe you could claim Sutton probably should have done a little more to save it. Nevertheless, but you know, glory well worth the draw. Probably should have won it. Really, they had a couple of chances to get something from it in the end.
Yeah. I mean, it says a lot about the league when, and I'm just having a sort of look at some of these games. I didn't even know there were 2 games on Thursday night. That's how little my interest in the league overall, and rightly so, has been in, and because we've had an Asian campaign as well until recently. So I completely and we've talked about the scheduling multiple times on this podcast, how bad it's been. No, this 2 games on a Thursday night. Yes, it's a public holiday the next day, but it's all over the shop. But you know, Mariners and Glory, 2-2 draw. So that's, you know, but I think the best couple, and Adelaide getting a point against Auckland. I think the best 2 games are the ones we haven't talked about yet. Different fortunes for the Melbourne-based
we'll
side.
move on to the last 2 games of this round. Obviously, you were at the game on Saturday. Look, I've made it quite clear I don't want you guys to make the finals because you've been making it every single season since you became Melbourne City, and I'd like you to miss it for once. But look, I can't complain when you beat the Wanderers 3-0, and I hope we can do something similar this coming weekend. But yeah, I mean, look, you were at the game. Have the crowds dropped off even more?
Yes, they have, and that's no word of a lie. I walked in there and it was just like, you know, it was like a home Asian Champions League game where they only open up like one sort of area of seating. So maybe, I don't even know if they have the crowds posted anymore, but pretty small. Yes, it was the Easter long weekend and a lot of people are away and whatnot, but I did recognise a few people.
I'm sorry, like in England, right? In England, it doesn't matter whether it's Easter, Christmas, fucking whatever, right? Even in the national leagues, north and south, you have more of an inspired turnout to mid-table games in the national leagues than you do in games of Melbourne. Like, look, I know Wanderers' season is done, but you're still fighting for the top 6, and with the game in hand, you should be favourites to maybe get it at this point. And I just don't get it. I mean, look, you won comfortably. Wanderers were shite with a capital S. Like complete
Shout out
arse.
to Lawrence
and that's
Thomas.
what annoys
Yeah.
me, because this is what they do when they're done with their seasons. They do absolutely fuck all in every game apart from us. They'll lift themselves 100% against us, no doubt. They'll listen. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat us even, through whether it be more VAR or reffing bullshittery or just them lifting because it's a derby. But then, you know, the game after that, let's see, who are they playing after us? Oh, Wellington, yeah, they'll probably lose like 4-0 in Wellington, knowing them. They'll probably beat us and then lose 4-0 in Wellington, and like it's just, Look, good on Andreas Kuhn, you know, getting involved in a goal for the first time in quite a while. Good finish though.
But I mean, I think it was, and I think couple of things that I'll just sort of take from this one. One of them I did actually message you during the game about. Was it Krayev? So goes down pretty innocuously. You know, gets bumped by, I can't remember who it was. Flops himself on the deck, and then carries on to the ref when he doesn't get a free kick. That's the best piece of acting since Mad Max Fury Road, for lack of a better, one of the best acting displays I've ever seen. Give him the BAFTA, the Academy Award. Give it to all of him, because that was an absolute disgrace.
I will say, look,
and it was at my end as well. So
like, obviously, you've got a game tomorrow night. In fact, that's the game in hand against Mariners. It's not great. Obviously, Marcus Younis getting sent off. He's definitely been a really one of your best players this season, and he only came in a couple of months ago. Obviously, he won't be playing in that game. I don't know what you made of his sending off, but
to be honest, I saw the scuffle and I didn't sort of look at it too closely. But you're right, he's been fantastic since coming on board. Daniel Arzani missed a really reasonably simple chance to score on the weekend, and he's one of the guys that'll have to lift. I think if we're going to get a result against Mariners, but we're knocking on the door of finals, and you've heard me say on this podcast weeks ago that I didn't think we deserved to make the six, and depending on how results go now that we've got a clear run without any other.
I mean, look, the other thing to point out is obviously
like
Beach
AFC.
didn't play in this game. I believe you had your second choice.
No, James Newman, and great. He made a couple of little jittery errors at first, but I think he was, compared to a guy like Lawrence Thomas, who was just awful. Eunice's goal was actually technically considered an own goal because it came off. Lawrence tried to sort of suck a leg out.
The fucking pantomime villain, the fucking wanker that he is. I love it when he just.
Right. Well, he's still. Well, he's still shot anyway, and good on Eunice for getting on the score sheet. But look, I think it's a massive game for both sides. I'm going to be there as well again tomorrow night. So. So I think, and I'll see if the crowd is the same.
Tuesday night. Oh, fucking hell! You might be the only one there, I reckon.
And not to mention another home game. We're back to post Christmas again, folks. It's three city home games in the space of 8 days, where Wellington come to town on Sunday
when you're away
afternoon.
at Brisbane, then obviously you got the last game of the regular season when you're at home to Adelaide to wrap it up. Yeah, that's
right. Yep. Yep, that'll be good. And that's going to be a massive weekend for me. So Storm at Amy Park the night before. So it's going to be going
imagine
back
the
there
crowd difference, because I imagine for that Anzac Day game in the NRL for Storm, that's going to be packed. You've been a couple of times.
It's going to probably be a sellout, yeah. It will. It almost certainly will be, yeah. But to sort of bookmark it, I've got Saints versus West Coast. West Coast getting done by 130 points to Sydney on the weekend. That's going to be sort of wedged in between my two Amy Park visits. So hopefully by the time I get to Amy Park at 5 o'clock on that Sunday, I'm going to be in a pretty jovial mood to hopefully celebrate a finals berth.
You got to get a couple of bits of footage for that Storm game for the channel, just to show what it's actually like when Amy Park is full.
Oh, it's brilliant. Not only the fact that they pack it out, but also the way they observe the commemorations. They turn all the lights off, and
you've been to quite a few of them. You've been to a few of them, haven't you?
Yeah. I've been to a couple of them. I think I went last year from memory. They do it really well. It's been on the. They used to play New Zealand in these games. I remember going to one. I think it was 2009 at the old Olympic Park. Yeah, because they used to play the Warriors. Easy to work out why, but it was at the old Olympic Park. It was a lot more open than what the new ground is. It was pissing down with rain, and it was just a really really. So I think they got done pretty badly. But I mean,
Wait, did you
getting
win?
back to that,
Did you win that
the game in.
Oh boy,
No, we lost pretty badly. I think, but it was pissing down with rain. It was just awful. But the way they do the commemoration, they have like a projector on the back of the stand basically, where they have projections of different things, and they've got the flame out in the middle of the ground, and they've got all the the army drummers and all. It's really, really well done. So I'll definitely get some footage of that.
Oh yeah, you're going to be going right like for the whole thing, aren't you? Like a couple of hours beforehand, I imagine.
I probably will. Weather dependent, but I've got a seat upstairs as well. I didn't want to book like a seat where I normally sit for City games. You just don't get the great view from there. So and plus they usually have fireworks coming from outside, and I wanted to get a good view of those. I mean, I've never seen fireworks. Look, hopefully for Storm's sake, it's a good game. But
we've done a lot of Saints predictions on the channel, which doesn't primarily cover AFL. So why don't we do a Storm prediction from you for a channel that definitely doesn't cover NRL?
Well, Storm lost. They had 50 points put on them for the first time in 23 years the other night. Lost 50 to something to Penrith, which I hate
because
even
I thought
more.
you hate them with a passion.
I do hate them with a passion. So they're not having a great start to the season, but it's. I'm going to make this call now. I just don't think they'll finish top 4 this year, and that's saying what? and that's saying something. I just don't think that with the squad that they've got this year, I just don't see how they get it done. And Bellamy's been there for years now, and he's been a fantastic coach. He's going to have to pull something really big out of the hat for them to finish in the 4 this season.
Oh, so okay. So I'm assuming you've watched all not live, obviously, but you've watched all your games so far this season properly. I'm assuming, or most of them. So you just don't think you're good enough to make it.
No, Grant. I went to one of their games last year and saw them have 18 points put on them in the second half, when they conceded nothing in the first half and lost. They did that against Brisbane at home a couple of weeks ago in the grand final rematch. That's how confident I am of them making the 4. The fact that, they can score points in the first half and not concede, and they just give them up. It's like, here you go, have some points and win the game. It's it's just ridiculous. But long way to go, and I'm not even going to talk about. I mean, Saints are back in action on Sunday night, and it's a must-win game, really. So we might as well just talk about that quickly. It's
hang on, before we do that, I'm far through this episode. We're about 52 minutes. Quickly, Wellington beat Victory. It's like a running joke now on this channel that we really don't cover much Victory games. But we'll quickly mention it. Wellington beat Victory, scored late on, great finish as well, by the way, I must point out, in off the far post, on the volley or half volley, more like a volley even. Like, really, they just held in there, got the winner late on. I think they deserve the win as well, Wellington. Victory, uncharacteristically poor going off recent form, but we both love that, of course. I mean, look, it just shows what the fuck is going on with the league this season. Full credit to Chris Greenacre. Wellington look all gone and buried for their season, and now, they're right back in the conversation for the top 6. They're literally right up and among there. So much that I didn't realise it until I checked the table yesterday and saw it. They're only a point behind MacArthur now. So, it shows what the league is like this season. That a team that, about a month ago, looked like they were going to finish in the bottom 3 are now potentially going to get into the finals, right? Yeah,
well, I mean, depending on what happens with our game tomorrow night, that's going to be an epic clash on
they've won
the
3
prime
in a row.
time of 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, so that's... no, neither did I. And until you mentioned it to me yesterday, I didn't even realise they'd beaten Victory. So, again, I've run a keen eye over this league for a number of weeks. Clearly not, but that game on Sunday, if we can happen to get a good result tomorrow, is going to be massive, I think, in terms of the makeup of the bottom half of the 6, and I think even MacArthur's going to be looking over their shoulders now. I don't know who they've got this week coming up, but it's going to be a really interesting run home, and good on Wellington for beating Victory for obvious reasons. kudos to you. You've had a coaching change and you've come out of it really well. So thanks for doing us a favour.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, whilst we wrap up, you can talk about your Saints.
Had the bye this weekend, so life was a little bit less hectic for me, which was nice. So gather around in Adelaide this weekend. I do want to talk about Carlton as well, just quickly on this podcast, because that's become we did talk about them in a previous tea break episode, and I feel we have to talk about them again just quickly. I think I messaged you at 3/4 time on Friday when they were 20-something points up on North Melbourne. North Melbourne ended up winning that game by 10. So second fade out for Carlton in 2 weeks. Life's good, right? That's just what more could you ask for? Just if my team's not getting the job done, it's always good to see others that I also hate with a passion.
Didn't you say Collingwood lost as well?
By about 50 points to Brisbane, who we almost beat. We put up a pretty good fight against them last week and led with 15 to play, but that proves that their dominance is can't be ignored. It wasn't just a fluke that they ran over the top of us sort of thing. So they are a good side. But it's going to be interesting. We've got Port Adelaide on Sunday night, the last game of gather round. So it's going to be interesting for me.
You'll hate watching Carlton. Who are they playing this week? Because I imagine you're going to hate watch that, aren't you?
Yes, I am. They've got Adelaide on Thursday night, and
Collingwood maybe as well.
I think they've got Fremantle Friday. Yes, also yes. But I like the fact that we're the last game of the round, because I don't have to have my mental health toyed with for an entire weekend as if we're playing on a Friday night or early Saturday like we did last week.
I mean, you were at ours obviously for dinner last night, and you were following along on your phone to that Essendon game as well. Another team you hate. You've told me you hate. And that was an interesting one, because I think I said to you at quarter time early in the second they were about 50 points down. They only lost that game by about 5 goals. So credit where it's due to Essendon. The Dogs probably didn't take their chances, and the Dogs are the only, with Gold Coast losing to Melbourne yesterday, the Dogs are the only undefeated side in the comp now. So how long that lasts for, and thankfully we don't play them for a little while yet. Credit to them, I guess. But I mean they've had a checkered history just like we have. Almost got booted out of the comp. When did they last win?
They've only. It's 2016, but that's only their second flag in history. So for all those people that are saying, and this has been something I've been pretty vocal on social media, because everyone seems to hang it on us for only having one flag in 150 plus years. The Dogs have only won 2 in 100.
Oh, what? So before 2016, when was the last time before that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
1954. And I think that was the longest drought before, and then Melbourne, then now it's us. So.
Wait, what was the Melbourne
skates
one?
On, boys, is all I can say. Let me
check.
just consult.
Doesn't know. Oh my God,
Give me a sec.
That's sacrilege. You don't know that. I know they're not your team, but it's still your sport.
I did hear someone say on Friday, the teams that should be playing on Good Friday are the Saints versus the Demons. And I completely agree with that.
They really did miss a trick there. The fact that there's teams in the league called the Saints, and then there's another team called the Demons. I mean, they really did miss a trick with that.
Yeah. 1960. It was 1964. So then 2021. Here's an interesting fact. Just while I'm bringing it up, the 1900 grand final, Melbourne 4-10-34 defeating Fitzroy 3-12-30. What a high scoring calibre of football it was. Back.
Have you seen footage of games from back in the 20s or something
not so much the 20s, but probably just after that.
The 30s.
So, we won't talk about that protest grand final in 1913 either, or whenever
you haven't seen footage from that one, I take it. 1913.
I think I think there's a little bit of footage, black and white footage, obviously somewhere. So we didn't have 4K cameras back then, obviously. But in terms of getting back to this weekend, look, it's going to be really good. I think for us, the buys refreshed us. And hopefully things are going to start clicking now, because if they don't, I'm going to have to take up drinking again.
Well, look,
and I'm already
everyone, as
confident,
he
and
said,
they
got Adelaide in their next game, and then the game after that is the one we're live streaming here. So, stay tuned for that.
I said Port Adelaide and then Adelaide the
game,
week after. Yeah.
I said before the season began, when we said let's try and live stream at least one Saints game this season, which obviously will be away one because Ben would be going in person to the actual ones. Like I said, we wanted to pick one where there's a chance they might lose, so you see a proper reaction from him, because even though he's a Saints fan and there's a chance they could lose any old game, we picked a live stream. I think Ben was quite confident in saying, "Well, you handpicked this Crows one," and saying, "Look, I'm confident we're probably going to lose this one." So.
Yeah, I think another one possibly, if I don't end up going to it, could be Saints versus Carlton on the Saturday, because that would be, you're going to get a really bad reaction from it, or you're going to get an absolutely fantastic one, given what we've just been talking about. So something to keep in mind. I still haven't decided if I'll go to that one yet. I still may, just because of how Carlton's.
I mean, I find it hilarious how they're making you fork out $40 for a ticket when you're a member of Saints. So should technically, and your membership this season, you paid extra, I believe, to cover all games in Victoria, let alone your home games. So that would encompass this away game against Carlton. So I don't understand why you're being made to pay another $40 when you should already have access and entry to that game. Care to explain?
I don't know, but you're right about the fact that I've got the access to all the Victorian games this year, including Geelong. But I think that's an absolutely ludicrous fact, and we do talk about different things on that. That's an absolute joke. You probably wouldn't get that in England.
To be fair, in England you are being that, especially in the Premier League. Teams, clubs are making people pay upwards of like £500 to £600+ just for a season ticket of home games. Like, just to enter games, they're charging over £100 now. So, I mean, that's got its own problems.
That's crazy.
Especially for Tottenham. Yeah. They're one of the most expensive season tickets in the Premier League, and they're on the brink of getting relegated. Like,
I was going to say, how much are championship season tickets for most clubs these days? It's but in terms of that, it's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully the weather's good. I love the fact that we're actually playing at Adelaide Oval and not fucking Norwood again. Because I think I mentioned to you last year how much I hate that fucking. It's like a, Sunday league.
You've been there, right?
Basically, and sorry to.
Oh, you haven't been to Norwood.
No, because I couldn't get a ticket. Because it's so small, and there's a wing. There's a particular wing that's just basically straight. There's no curve to. You know how I've talked about Geelong's ground and how weirdly configured. This one's worse. The outer wing, where like the benches and stuff are, is just straight. It's a straight line. So. Riddle me that. But, there's a ground at the Barossa, which I know the AFL's only doing that to make money out of. Thank God we're not playing there. So it's nice to be back.
Could you imagine trying to travel to the fucking Barossa for a game?
Yeah. The Adelaide police will be out with their booze buses post-haste after that, I reckon. But the funny thing is, and I mentioned this to you specifically last night, remember how I was telling you about that Port Adelaide have that Never Tear Us Apart song as their anthem? We're going to be hearing that on Sunday night before the game.
The INXS song.
So, it's a great song, but not for them. So, but hopefully Saints can bounce back. It's always a great atmosphere on that hill. Being the away side, I mean, most games for us haven't been great there, I should add, but we can't go 1-4. We have to start bouncing back, especially when after round 13, I think it is, we don't travel outside Victoria for the rest of the year. So these are the sort of games now. We've got Adelaide, which is a mulligan like the Bayern game, then West Coast, then Carlton, and then Gold Coast in Darwin. So we've got to start banking some points.
Yeah, so you don't even go to Sydney. Oh, good. Oh, no, you do, I thought. Yeah.
No, we do, like King's birthday, I think, the long weekend. We've already had one trip there, which we won, but we won't talk about that game and how that unfolded. But anyway, looking forward to my team dictating my mood again for another week.
And look, we'll just quickly touch on it. West Brom, even though they blew a 2-0 lead against Wrexham, look, they're probably safe now. So good job. You're staying in the Championship for another season, at least.
Good. We'll welcome Spurs to the
possibly City as well if that stuff happens.
Oh, that'd be nice. But yeah, I wasn't aware they were playing, but I did keep an eye on the scores, and I think being up 2-0. I mean, Josh Madger had a penalty, but that's why they're sort of up towards the. Pardon me, now I'm almost gonna start choking in a sec.
No, they should be higher. I'm sorry, Wrexham should be higher with the squad they have and some of the players they have. They should be comfortably in the playoffs at least. Like I refer to a podcast called Proper Football. If you're watching Callum and Connor and Jim, give us a like, a subscribe and a follow. But Callum Vallow in particular calls Phil Parkinson a bin man, which I find quite hilarious. But it's true. He's not. It's no way he should be managing a team fighting for promotion in the Championship. Which is why it'll be fucking hilarious if they do actually get promoted. And Phil Parkinson's managing in the Premier League is just a piss take, in my opinion, if that happens. And obviously Millwall up to second now. Fucking hell! Imagine Millwall get promoted automatically.
If I can find it again, I'll send it to you. But I saw something when I got back last night. I'm pretty sure it was the early 90s, and this is true. They had redevelopments done on their ground at the Den. That's why it looks sort of really modern. But apparently, they had some sort of insurance clause for like £100,000 to future-proof them against getting promotion. I couldn't believe it. It's like, wow, that's actually pretty smart. I don't know how long it was for, so if they get promoted now, and I hope they do, because I just want to see them. After seeing the film Green Street Hooligans about 100 times, I would love it. If they play West Ham.
Well, hopefully West Ham can stay up as well. That's the other thing.
Well, assuming they stay up, that's right. But so plenty to look forward to.
I mean, obviously, and also for your sake now that you're probably all likely staying up in the Championship, you've got a Black Country derby to look forward to twice next season as well. Don't forget, with Wolves coming down.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. So you got that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be good. Yeah, back at Molyneux and the Hawthorns next season. So, it's going to be good, and plenty to look forward to. Got the City game tomorrow, and big day on Sunday. So City. We got lunch on good lunch on Sunday. That'll always be good, and City game and then Saints in the evening. So
there you go, right? Yeah. And obviously 2 weeks' time we got the live stream for everyone on Saturday, I believe, isn't it? It would
Saturday night, that's
correct,
right. Yep.
Saturday the 18th. Saturday the 18th, so stay tuned for that. As always, like our live streams we did with the World Cup cricket stuff, similar, get up for that, so stay tuned for that. We hope you enjoyed another review of the Bundesliga and A-League. The A-League continues to absolutely flabbergast in terms of how shite it can be, and the Bundesliga continues to impress as to how good it can be. But stay tuned for that. We'll be back on Thursday, obviously, later though, because we'll back at work and stuff like that for me this week. From tomorrow onwards with the Easter holiday all done. So that'll be a later one, so that will come out later on Friday, I'd imagine. Hopefully, all fingers crossed, it's not going to be too difficult to get that one uploaded, because you know what the issues we've had like that in the past are. We'll be back with another Tea Break episode, of course, on Thursday. Until then, peace out, guys, take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.